too distracting. Okay, so listen. Today we're going to look at a type of story that is called an FABLE, fable. And a fable is just a short story that has a moral to it, M-O-R-A-L, which is kind of a learning point. So the type of story that we're looking at is a F-A-B-L-E, yes, and that's a short story that has a, just for practice, M-O-R-A-L, yes, see if you can do it yourself. Just for practice, do moral. M, hold it steady, go for the M, O, R, go for the R, A, L, good.
Further.
And when fables are written, all the characters in fables are actually animals. But the animals have the personalities of humans, and they act like people, and they can all talk. And the reason that the characters are animals is to make the stories more attractive to children. So the characters are all, what did we say? Which hand are we going to use that one? A, need to focus, N, I, M, A, L, S. And why is that? To make them what? A, T, T, R, A, C, T, I, good. V, E, yes, to make them attractive to children. Now, did you know that in 5 BC there was a slave called AESOP, A-E-S-O-P, and he wrote down a collection of all of the fables and stories that had been kind of passed down through the generations. And there's still books today, and they're called AESOP's Fables. So the name of the slave was A-E. Yeah. A-E, we're doing 5 minutes at a time. S-O-P. Yeah. AESOP. So the fable that we're going to look at today is called A Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. Do you know the story of this fable? Do you know this one? No. Okay. Good. Right, so listen. Once upon a time there was a wolf, and he was hungry. Now, I wonder, what sort of animal would you think a wolf is most like? Would you think a wolf is most like a dog or a fish? What do you think? A wolf is most like a yeah, it's most like a dog. it's like a dog, but it lives in the wild. So it's undomesticated. And it's a predator. Predator. Oh, I wonder, what does a predator mean? What does being a predator mean? H?
What about?
Good. I love this. You're doing really well. U-N-T. Hunts. What does it hunt? Hunts. Okay, come on, do this first. Hunts. O-T. Press stop for a minute when we finish it. That's it. Hunts what? O-T-H-E-R-A.
Yeah, but.
Excuse me. N-I-M-A-L. Yes, you're right, yeah. A predator would hunt other animals. Do you think that a wolf is likely to be, then if it hunts other animals, would you call a wolf a vegetarian, or would you call it carnivorous? What would you call it? C-A-R-N-I.
Bye-bye.
1 over.
Bye.
You've got the W then, go for the V. Come on. You've done, look. C-A-R-N-I-V. I. You did the I, do V. V. E. R. O. U. S. And carnivorous means M. Oh, good. E. You're there. A. T. Yes. Meat. E. A. T. I.
Mm.
N. J. Yes. Carnivorous means meat eating. I just noticed that when you spell carnivorous, actually, it should be spelled C-A-R-N-I-V-O-R-O-U-S, not E-R-O-U-S. Okay? So you would say that a wolf is a carnivore, O-R-E, carnivore. So this wolf, be careful with that please, this wolf was hungry and it saw a flock of sheep. What did it see? Oh dear, what did it say? S. Grace, will you turn that off please, because that's distracting for Mum. Might not be distracting for you, but it is for Mum. Okay, you saw a flock of S, H, E, E, B. Yeah. I think we might try doing the answers on there. Let's try it. Have your iPad? Okay, let's put the app on and do it on there, because you said you wanted to learn to do it on here. Okay. Right, so it saw a flock of sheep. Now just have to listen. Now then, what carnivores do is when they're hunting, they go for the weakest animal. So normally they'd go for the young animal. So would you say that a young sheep is called a lamb, Or would you say a young sheep is called a mouse? What would you say? Try on there. Don't know, you're going for it, yeah? L.
Fa.
Doing good, yeah. Go for it. Go for the A. Cross. That's it. A. Over. M. And go for B. B. Right, speak it. Yes. Young sheep. Let's see if you know the names of other young animals. What would a young cow be? What would a young cow be called? A young cow would be, what would it be? See if you can do it yourself. What would it be? There we go.
Oh.
It's alright, come on, we're just practicing. Try it on here first. A young cow would be a C A L F. Now on here it would be a C crop. Oh, it's okay. This is just learning. Just practice. A C. Go on then. A. Cross for the L. Cross. Cross one. Get your hand to go where you want it to. You're doing good. Move across one. Want me to help? Move C A. Down a bit. L. And then go for the F. F. Cough. What would a young dog be called? A young dog would be called a... You're there, yeah. Go across, yeah. Yeah, you're there. P. Now you know the answer. Go across one. U. Doing good. Young dog would be called a P-U. P. And again. And again. P. That's it, you're there, just the Y. Go for the Y. Cross one. Do a space.
Puppy.
Puppy. Well done.
Yeah.
Okay, so listen. So we did line, car, and puppy. We're just practicing. Alright, you said you wanted to learn to use the iPad, so we need to practice. So one day, it was hungry, saw this flock of sheep, but there was a shepherd and a dog that were watching after the sheep. So the wolf just couldn't walk in and take one. Then it spotted a sheep's skin, which had been flayed, F-L-A-Y-E-D. I don't know, it's a very old-fashioned expression, that one. I wonder, do you know what flayed means? What it actually means? What it actually means is that the skin has been taken off in one piece, so it's still got the head on, you can still see the legs, and you can still see the tail. A bit like, you know, when you see some of those rugs that they have on the floor sometimes, which are like tigers and things like that, so it still sort of looks like the tiger complete. So flayed means in one, P-I-E, C-E, in one piece. So the wolf, this clever wolf, decided to disguise himself as a sheep. So he took the skin, took the flayed skin and he put it over his body and snuck in to the flock of sheep. And of course the shepherd didn't notice because he looked like a sheep. That way he was able to take a lamb away from the herd, and then he killed it and ate it. And he carried on doing this several times, getting nice meals. So the moral of this story is that appearances, or what would you guess it would be? Would you guess that the moral should be to always believe what you see? Or would you think that the moral would be that appearances can be deceiving or deceptive?
Fern.
Okay, come on. What do you think?
Fern.
So a jam isn't going to make any sense at all. Well, would you think that the moral of this fable is A? Yeah, good. A. P. Good. E. 5 minutes at a time. A. There's no need to feel stressed. R. A. M. C.
4.
Appearance. Finish it. E-S. Appearances. E-S. Yeah. Appearances. A. R. E. R. D. E. C. E. That's right. I. A. I. N. Look at the G just to finish it. Appearances are deceiving. Now, so even though this fable was written many, many, many years ago, it's still actually, the moral still holds true today. So let's just discuss that for a minute. I wonder, what examples can you think of where appearances are deceiving? You shouldn't judge. Another saying is don't judge a book by its cover. So don't necessarily just look on the outside. You know, you've got to look beyond that. So tell me what you think about this in today's world. T. A. Chris, don't feel stressed because you're doing really good. I'm really proud of you. This is really good. T. H. The. The. O. N. L. You're doing good. O. N. L. Wait, where are you? Sorry, I can't see. The A and L, was it Y? Was it Y? Yes, the only. Right, let me write that down. The only. Come on. P. E. O. P. L. The only people. We're talking about the fable, aren't we? The only people. Y. O. U. S. A. Stress. Really good. S. H. O. U. L. D. The only people you should. The only people you should T R U S T. Only people you should trust. A-R-E-R T the only people you should trust are those. W-H.
Four.
Proud of you. W-H. You've been doing really good. Who? Y. O. U. Who. K. N. O. W. Right. The only people you should trust down these are those. No. Well, that's very good, and that's a good general statement. However, sometimes you might not necessarily know a person, but you still have to put your trust in them. So, could you think of any examples of any strangers where you might have to trust them? You don't know them well, but you still might have to trust them. Maybe think about their jobs. What do you think? Can you think of any examples where you might have to trust them even though that you don't know them? What would you think? D O C. We're talking about this. D O C T O R S. Yes, that's a good example. Doctors. Another example would be. Another example. Someone that you would trust because of their job would be. What would another example be? E C I. So we put doctors. Doctors on ECI. I don't think ECI is going to make sense. Try that one again. So another example would be what? T. Right then. Listen. If that's too stimulating for you, we turn it off and we concentrate on this. So an example of someone that you would trust because of their job would be what? E. Yeah, M. 5 more minutes. E. R. G. E. That's good.
Yeah.
So we've got to the G. Emergency. Okay. So you're right. In an emergency, yeah, you might have to trust people, just to help you. I suppose you might even have to trust people in the street to try and help you in an emergency, and often strangers do. If there's a car crash or if someone gets hurt, there's often people that do come and help, so you're in a position where you, where you have to trust strangers, not necessarily because of their jobs, just because of because you actually need help. Okay. One of the examples that I was thinking of, which is relevant today, is of children using the computer. Where people send them friend requests and pretend to be their friend, and sometimes they're adults and they're not even children themselves. What do you know about that? What do you know about that? I know.
Man. Four.
Finish. One across. I know about grooming. C H I cross one. L D R E N B Y. No, let me write that one down. I know about grooming children by, what's the name of the name of people that do this? Oh, what are they called? P A E D O P H I L E S. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait a minute. Paedophiles. Okay, so how do you know about that? Where have you heard about it? I'm just curious. How do you know about that? S E E N C O N T V N E W S. Okay, seen on TV.
Yeah.
There. Seen on TV news. Okay. So, if you were just a little bit of creative writing here, if you were, or a poem even, if you were in a school, or if you were asked to give a little talk to a school with younger children, and it was about being careful on the computer, being careful on Facebook, not accepting friends, and or friend requests from strangers who might be paedophiles. What would you, can you think of it, either a slogan, or you can do it yourself, you can choose whether you write a slogan, whether you just write a short speech, or something that will help to get the message across to the children in a punchy way. Have you got any ideas?
You're doing
really good. Story. Nothing to be stressed. The story of story of You alright? Yeah? F, the story of the wolf. W O U L. Yeah? Just 5 left. Wood. B E G O O D would be good. D O R E A D T O T H. The story of the wolf would be good to read.
Yeah.
Thank you, that's very good.
Good.